Welcome all to our channel GTech Fluent. Our today's topic number 31 in ASP.NET Core video series is model validation in ASP.NET Core MVC. So in this video, we'll discuss what is the way of to add the validation and display the error message into the ASP.NET Core MVC. So in this video, we'll discuss how to apply the validation or the validation rule on the models, how to display error message, how to display all error message particular form, how to customize the error message as per our requirement, and what are the different type of built-in model validation attribute available into the ASP.NET Core MVC. So let's switch to the Visual Studio and see the example how to apply the model validation. So we are in our project which we have created for this video tutorial series. So as of now, we have created the form which save the student details. But if you noticed, we have not added any validation to our student class model, which means if we provide the blank values or no values for the particular form, then that form also getting saved into our database. Now suppose if you want to make name, class and the school property of the student class model as a mandatory, and if that mandatory field value are not provided to the form, then we will require to display error message onto the our form. So to make name, class and the school property as a required for our form, we need to use require attribute onto these fields. So let's use the required attribute required, and if you notice this required attribute is under system.componentModel.data annotation. So let's use this. So similar way we need to apply this required attribute for the class and the school property. So let's apply it. So now we have applied the required attribute for this property, which means we need to require to provide value for these fields. If we have not provided a value for this particular field, then when form is submitted, then the create student action method is executed, and the model for our create student method is the student class. When form is submitted, model bindings maps the form's value to the respective properties of the student class. So as we have the required attribute to the name, class and the school property of the student class, value for these properties is not present, then validation is fails. So in the controller, we need to use model state dot is valid property to validate the model is valid or not. Then only we need to add student record inside our database. Model state dot is valid property. If our model is valid, then only we want to create the record inside our database. So after this change, let's run and see. So this is the form which we have created till now. So now if we are not providing any value inside these fields, and if I click on the create button, then it will go to our create student action method. And if you notice, the model state dot is valid property is a false. That means the validation is fails for this model. It will return to the same view, so the user can provide the required data and resubmit the form after correcting the data. And we are returning to the same view again. As this form is not valid, so our student record is not created. But if you notice, we have not display any error message here as of now. So let's see how to display the error message for the particular field. So to display validation message, we need to use ASP dash validation dash for or ASP dash validation dash summary tag helpers. So the ASP dash validation dash for tag helper display the validation message for the particular field, or you can say the single field inside the our model. And ASP dash validation dash summary tag helper is used to display the validation summary of our form or the model. So let's display the error message for the particular field. So, so below the input box, we'll use the span, and inside this we simply type ASP dash validation dash. So if you notice, we are getting the tag helper. So click on this, and we need to provide for which property we are going to display the error message. For example, in this case our property name is name. So similar way we need to apply for the class and the school. So let's apply for the other properties. So after this change, let's run and see. Now if we are not providing any value for these properties and click on the create button, we'll get the model state as a invalid, and notice we are getting the error message to be displayed for the particular field which we have applied the ASP dash validation dash for tag helper. So now let's see how to display these messages together. So to display validation summary for our form, we need to use ASP dash validation dash summary tag helper. So we'll use ASP dash validation dash summary tag helper, and inside this we have the three option: all, mode only, and the none. So we will discuss this option into our upcoming videos. For as of now, we will select all, and let's close this. And after this change, let's run and see. And now suppose I provided the value inside the edge and not providing the value to the other property. Let's click on the create. Our model is not valid. So let's run. It is displaying the message for the particular property as well as the validation summary of our form. As you can see, we are getting the predefined error message for the all field. For example, the name field is required, the class field is required, and the school field is required. These are the predefined message for the required field. But if you want to provide the custom message for the particular field, for example, you want to provide the custom message for the name field. So for this, we need to use error message property of the required attributes. So now let's see how to use the error message property. So let's go to the student class, and here we have the error message property. So we simply type error message, and into the string we'll provide the error message which we want to display on the screen. For example, we will provide the message as a please provide student name. So after this change, let's run and see. And if I provide the value inside this property and not other, and if I click on the create, we'll get the error message which we have configured or provided for the particular property. So in this way, you can provide your custom error message. So there is another useful attribute. So however, that attribute is not a validation attribute, but it is commonly used for display purpose into the UI. For example, in the UI, by default the labels are displayed as per the property name inside our class. For example, the name property for the class, so it is displaying the name, and similar way class, age, and the school. But now if you want to provide some different display name for this property, for example, instead of name we required to display as a student name. So in that case we need to use display attribute. So let's see how to use that. So over the property we need to use display attribute, and we have the name property. For the display attribute, we need to provide the name as a string value. So we require to display as a student name instead of name. So after this change, let's run and see. So look, it is getting display as a student name which provided inside the display attribute. So now after providing the all values, our student record should be created. So let's check that. We'll call it as a student 1, class A, age to be 20, and school name is a GTech Fluent. let's click on the create. So now if you notice, our model is valid. So let's continue and let's check our record is added or not. Let's go to the student list. So this is the record which is added recently. So there are some built-in model validation attribute available inside the ASP.NET Core MEC. So let's see what are those. So these are the attributes which are commonly used or built-in available into the ASP.NET Core MEC. So first is a required. So this attribute is specify that the particular field is mandatory or required. The range attribute is used to specify minimum and maximum value for the particular field for our model. Next, we have a mean length. So this is used to specify the minimum value required for the particular field. The next is a max length. So this is used to specify the maximum value required for the particular field. So we can use multiple validation attribute for the particular property inside our model as per our requirement. For example, we want to limit minimum and maximum length for the particular field. In that case, you can use this mean length and max length a validation attribute together. The next we have a compare. So it's compare two properties of the model. For example, comparing the email and the confirm email property. And another example is like the password and confirm password. Next attribute we have the regular expression commonly used for validating the email address, phone number and the pin code. So in this way we can use this attribute as per our requirement. So please let us know if anyone has any query or doubt. We will meet in our next video. Thank you.